You give your all. You stay late. You go the extra mile. You're not perfect, but you care. You try. Yet somehow, things keep slipping. People whisper when you enter the room. Your name gets left off that important email. A deadline gets missed because someone forgot to tell you the changes. And when things go wrong, there's always someone nearby, smiling, stepping in, saying, "Don't worry, I've got it handled." But deep down, something feels off. Your confidence? Shaken. You start doubting yourself. You apologize more. You talk less. You feel like you're slowly disappearing at work. This isn't bad luck. This isn't your imagination. This is sabotage. Intentional, quiet, and cruel. And often, it's coming from someone who calls you a friend. Someone who plays innocent, while feeding your downfall behind closed doors. A narcissistic colleague doesn't need to scream to destroy you. All they need is time and silence. In this video, we're exposing the cold, calculated tactics narcissists use to sabotage you at work while wearing a perfect mask. Stay with me, because once you see it, you'll never unsee it again. So how do narcissistic colleagues sabotage you without ever raising their voice? It starts with small shifts. They don't confront you directly. That would be too obvious. Instead, they erode your foundation, one subtle move at a time. Maybe they accidentally leave you out of a meeting. Maybe they forward your email chain, but delete the part where they made the mistake. Maybe they mention your name in a casual conversation with your manager, just enough to plant a seed of doubt. She's been missing a few details lately. He seems a bit overwhelmed lately. They don't need to accuse you of anything. They just hint, suggest, smile, and let the story spread on its own. Part 1. Why they do it. To understand their tactics, you need to understand what drives them. A narcissist at work doesn't just want to be good at their job. They want to be seen as the best, worshipped, admired, respected, and if your presence threatens that image, even slightly, you become a target. Your competence? A threat. Your calmness? A challenge. Your likability? A mirror they can't tolerate. They need to be the center of attention, the smartest in the room, and the one the boss praises. So they'll start to slowly discredit you. Not with fire, but with fog. Part 2. How they sabotage you, covert tactics. Let's walk through the most common forms of narcissistic sabotage in the workplace. 1. Withholding information. They forget to tell you something important. A deadline change. A new requirement. A key update. When you fail to deliver, you look sloppy. They look like the one who picked up the pieces. It's not a mistake. It's a trap. 2. Spreading rumors. They don't spread wild lies. That would be too risky. Instead, they say just enough to shift perception. She's been going through something lately. He's a bit emotional in meetings lately. These concerns sound caring, but they're poison in disguise. 3. Triangulation. They tell your coworker that you said something negative when you didn't. They tell you that someone else is questioning your skills. They sit back and watch the confusion grow. It creates distrust, isolation. You stop reaching out. They win. 4. Credit stealing. They insert themselves into your project right before it's presented. Then they highlight their contribution and leave out yours. When leadership gives praise, they smile. You're left wondering how they always end up in the spotlight. 5. Public praise, private undermining. In meetings, they compliment you. Behind closed doors, they criticize your attitude, your delivery, your tone. They master both sides. So when you speak up, you sound paranoid. 6. Gaslighting. They deny things they said. They rewrite past conversations. They make you question your memory, your judgment, your instincts. You start asking yourself, am I overreacting? That's exactly where they want you. Part 3. The psychological cost. Here's what happens when you're the target. You stop trusting your instincts. You double-check everything. You feel anxious walking into the office. You start shrinking, hoping they'll stop. You become hypervigilant, exhausted, and emotionally drained. You may even begin to lose confidence in your own competence. And the worst part? You often can't prove what's happening, because none of it is technically against the rules. HR sees a clean record. The narcissist plays polite and professional in every meeting. You're left with only fragments of behavior that individually seem minor. But together, they destroy your psychological safety. Part 4. Why it's so hard to fight back. Narcissists are skilled manipulators. They understand perception. They know how to seem trustworthy while distorting the truth. You try to explain it to others, but it sounds petty. They just forgot to include you in an email? They're just being thorough when they give feedback. So you stop talking about it. You internalize the stress. You try to do better, even though you've done nothing wrong. And they keep winning. Part 5. The turning point. Recognizing the pattern. But here's the moment that changes everything. When you recognize this isn't about you. It's not your flaws. It's not your sensitivity. It's their insecurity, their need to control, their fear of being outshined. And once you see it clearly, it becomes easier to detach. You start collecting facts, not feelings. You start documenting interactions. You stop trying to win them over and start protecting your peace. Part 6. Red flags to watch for. So how do you know if you're being sabotaged? Look for patterns, not incidents. People begin treating you differently, but you haven't changed. You get excluded from key conversations without explanation. You feel watched, evaluated, judged, but never directly confronted. You keep hearing, "You're too sensitive," or "You misunderstood." The person undermining you always seems to be the one helping. These are not coincidences. They're calculated. Part 7. Protecting yourself while staying professional. The goal isn't revenge, it's resilience. Here's how you protect yourself. Document everything. Keep emails. Save messages. Write down incidents with dates. Set boundaries. Limit how much you share. Be friendly, but guarded. Avoid emotional traps. Don't react publicly. Narcissists feed off drama. Stay calm. Stay factual. Build quiet allies. Find 1 or 2 colleagues who see what's happening. You're not crazy, and you're not alone. Keep records of your work. Create paper trails. Make your contributions visible and undeniable. These steps won't change the narcissist, but they will change your power in the situation. Work should not be a battlefield, and you should not feel like you're constantly defending your own reality. In a moment, we'll talk about how to rebuild your confidence, protect your mental health, and decide when it's time to walk away. But first, let me say this clearly. You are not the problem. You were targeted because you shine, because you do your job well, because you have something they can't fake: authenticity. If you've made it this far, you already know something isn't right. Maybe you felt the anxiety creeping in each morning before work. Maybe you found yourself second-guessing things you used to be confident about. Or maybe you've been quietly suffering, unsure if what's happening is even real. Let me tell you right now, it's real, and it's not your fault. You didn't imagine the exclusion. You didn't overreact to the silent hostility. And no, you're not being too sensitive. You're responding, humanly, painfully, and truthfully, to being slowly erased in a place that was supposed to be safe. Let's be clear. This kind of sabotage, it's abuse. It's not always loud, but it's devastating, and it leaves deep emotional scars. So what do you do next? Step 1. Reclaim your reality. The first thing narcissistic sabotage takes from you is your clarity. They distort, manipulate, and twist until you no longer trust your own perception. That's why the first step is to anchor yourself in truth. Start writing things down. Not just what they did, but how it made you feel. When you track their patterns, you begin to see clearly. It's not a one-time mistake. It's a deliberate pattern of behavior. Documenting doesn't just build evidence. It rebuilds your trust in yourself. You are not overreacting. You are responding to mistreatment that was designed to stay invisible. Step 2. Build psychological armor. Once you see the game, you stop playing it. You don't owe them warmth. You don't owe them friendship. You owe yourself protection. That means pulling back. Emotionally, psychologically. Don't feed the narcissist your reactions. Don't argue. Don't justify. Don't overshare. Respond with neutrality. Short answers. Calm energy. Professional tone. They want drama? Starve them of it. They want chaos. Give them silence. They want to be seen as superior? Let them perform. But don't applaud. You don't need to win against them. You just need to stop letting them win over you. Step 3. Rebuild your sense of self. This is the part most people skip because it's quiet. It's not about revenge. It's about healing. Narcissistic sabotage isn't just about your job. It affects your identity. It chips away at how you see yourself. So you need to reconnect with who you are outside of this toxic environment. Ask yourself, what did I love about my work before this? What strengths do I still have, even if they've been ignored? Who am I when no one's watching? Remind yourself of the person you were before you started shrinking, because that person is still here, just buried under survival. You don't have to stay small to stay safe anymore. Step 4. Find safe people. One of the most painful parts of working with a narcissistic colleague is the isolation. They work hard to make you feel alone, like no one sees what's happening, like it's all in your head. But there are people out there, colleagues, friends, even strangers online, who have been through exactly what you're experiencing. You're not weak for needing support. You're human. Whether it's talking to someone you trust, joining an online support group, or even reaching out to a therapist, connection is the antidote to manipulation. Find people who reflect the truth back to you. People who remind you of who you are. When the narcissist tries to make you forget. Step 5. Know when it's time to leave. This part is hard, but necessary to say. Sometimes, the environment is too toxic to repair. The narcissist holds too much power. Leadership doesn't see. Or worse, they do see and don't care. You can do everything right. Document, protect yourself, stay professional, and still be left depleted, anxious, and miserable. Leaving doesn't mean they win. Leaving means you choose yourself. You don't have to stay in survival mode to prove your worth. Your value isn't tied to enduring mistreatment. Sometimes, freedom is found in walking away, and no job is worth your mental health. Final reflections. If you're still watching this, I want you to know something deeply and personally. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are not too sensitive. You are someone who tried to do their best in a space that was never designed to hold your light. The narcissist saw your value. That's why they tried to dim it. But here's the truth they never want you to realize. You were never meant to stay small. And you were never the problem. Their sabotage? That's a reflection of their emptiness, not your inadequacy. One day, you'll look back on this time and see how strong you really were. How you endured what many never saw. How you survived subtle abuse with dignity and grace. You will rebuild. You will grow. And you will thrive in a space where you no longer have to look over your shoulder. So, if this message speaks to your experience, I invite you to share your voice in the comments. Not for validation, but for liberation. Because when we name what's happening, we take back our power. And when we speak up, we let others know they are not alone either. You've survived sabotage. Now it's time to reclaim your peace.